let's add some actual color to the cheeks. We have all of our shaping done, and now for some color. Now, I've done a whole video dedicated to how to coordinate your blush color with your eyeshadow, with your lipstick. So I'm not going to get into that too much here, but I am going to help you kind of choose the proper tones of blush for your skin tone. So for today, I do have kind of a slightly rosier toned eyeshadow look, and then my lip color is a little cooler toned rose. So I'm going to actually choose something more in the pink family. If I were to go into something that is more peachy, that would be okay, but it might kind of throw the look off balance a little bit. So that's just a little bit of a tip. Kind of go in the color theme that you've got going on with the rest of your makeup. Now, if I had chosen brown eyeshadow and maybe a brown lip color, then I could kind of go any direction I wanted. But also, you want to look at the undertone of your skin, and that's going to help you choose the right tone of blushes. So for me, because I have more yellow undertones to my skin, I can actually do a lot of blushes that are peach. I can even use some of these tones right here that have more yellow tones to them. But somebody who has more rosy tones to your skin, you might find these that look a little off on your skin tone. Not that you can't make them work with adding maybe a little bit of some pink tones, but all in all, when it comes to blush, if you're just starting out, your goal is you want to add a color that's similar to your natural blushing shade. So if you get embarrassed, what color do your cheeks turn? That's going to be your most natural blush color. So for me, I turn pretty red, red pink. But again, you can adjust that color depending on what your eyeshadow color is for the day. Some of my all-time favorite powder blushes are from Laura Geller. And part of the reason is because I love that it is a marble of a bunch of different colors together. When I don't know what color to choose on my cheeks, I go for this one, which is Tropic Hues. This has been around forever. It's kind of that, when it's swirled together, you got the red and the orange and the pink and a slight little bit of glow. You get kind of like my perfect color of pink. This might be what I use today. We'll see. Now, these do have a little bit of glow, but there's no shimmer particles. So as we talked about in the highlighter, there are different finishes of blush, and really it's personal preference of what you like on your skin tone, because I feel like mature skin can still handle a nice, soft, glowy blush. I would stay away from the ones with chunky glitter. Those aren't my favorite, and that's where you can kind of get those glitter particles that cling to texture on your skin, and you're like, that's not flattering. But you also can go for more matte blushes as well. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Energy Blush, and this is one of those pH changing tones. This is another great way for your body to find its perfect color of pink. There are a couple of these blushes out on the market now. They're kind of fun. So choose a blush color that you're attracted to, but that also kind of works with your natural undertone. And that's going to be your most flattering blush shade. Now, as far as cream formulas, liquid blushes, I feel like a lot of people are gravitating more towards those these days. And so obviously I'm going to show you a cream blush on this side. A couple of my favorite formulations. This is a liquid blush from Daniel Sandler. I've used this in many videos. I'll link a few down below. I've used this actually on some clients here. And this is actually a water-based formula. It's beautiful on the skin. This one from Tarte, the Man-Eater blush, I actually might use this today. This is the Blush and Glow Cheek Plump. This is, in my opinion, one of the easiest cream formula blushes / liquid. It's a little more dense than the cream stick, which I'm going to talk about now. This is the Nude Sticks blush. These are a wonderful formulation as well. These are easy to travel with. They do have a little built-in brush in case you're on the go. You can use these on your lips. So another great formula option for your cream. Let's go ahead. I'm going to apply the Tarte Man-Eater blush because I talked about this recently in comparison with the new ones from e.l.f. I just think these are better, and I'll show you why. Now, when applying a cream blush to your cheeks, you definitely want to know your formula before you put it on your cheek to apply. I know that these blushes from Rare Beauty are so pigmented that I cannot put it on my cheek. Even a dot on your cheek, you will be blending for days and you might end up with like the whole side of your face peach because these are so pigmented. However, this one from Tarte, I know that I can apply directly to my cheeks and I'll be fine. For the Daniel Sandler or the Rare Beauty blush, I like to apply these on the back of my hand, blend it out first, and then apply to the cheek. I'll show you that process. And then the nude sticks, I like to just take my brush and go on the top of the stick and then apply to the cheeks. Again, you want to be careful as you're applying product on top of product. You want to do as little swirling and moving of your foundation and everything as possible. So sometimes if you're swiping on products, it can disturb what's underneath. So just be aware of that. Okay, I'm gonna show you both applications. So if you're applying a more pigmented blush from the back of your hand, what you would do is put a drop. This one I know I can go a little more ham with, but on the back of your hand, take your brush. This has become one of my new favorites for cream blush. This is the Rephr 04. It's so nice, and I've used this a lot and it washes up cleanly. So I'm going to blend on the back of my hand first. If you're a beginner with blush, this is the best way to start off. And then you want to start at the back of your cheek and work forward. And as we get older and older, you hear this all the time, things, gravity takes hold and drags things down. So we don't want to do what we did when we were younger, where you smile and you apply your blush here, because when you aren't smiling, our face drops a little more than it used to. So my tip is start at the back of your cheek and don't smile. Okay, we're gonna start because we want to apply that blush actually a little bit higher on the cheek than we did when we were younger, because then it's in a good spot when we're smiling and even when we're not. Also, you can use blush to further help contour your face. Because I have fuller cheeks, I don't want to have a ton of color right here. I watch one of my favorite YouTubers and she applies her blush right here. She's young, she can handle that. I've got full cheeks. If you don't have fuller cheeks, apply your blush here, and that is going to give you the look of fuller cheeks. I don't need any help with that. So I'm just going to apply down to the top. And so you'll see I got a very diffused look. And because of this particular formulation, I know that I can actually apply a little bit more and it's not going to get scary. So I'm going to show you with this one, I can actually apply this kind of like I did the liquid highlighter, just a couple of dots. But I'm not going to swirl. I'm still going to use that dabbing motion and allow the brush bristles, that was hard, to do the work for me. And then you can always, I like the look of a little bit of blush here up on the forehead. Kind of gives the illusion that we got a little sun. And I'll talk in a moment about bronzers. Gotta have further complication, right? But for now, let's stick with blush. Okay. So do you see that? It looks very nice and blended. And because we did most of the color here, we had less on our brush so that as we work forward, it gets more and more diffused. You always keep your foundation brush handy, because if you get too much blush, you can always dab over it. Dab, you don't need to rub, dab over it with your foundation brush and take away some of that color if you got a little ambitious with your blush, but I think that's actually pretty good right now. Now on this side, I'm gonna go ahead, let's just use the good old Laura Geller Tropic Hues blush. Now for powder blush, the density of the brush, ooh, say that 10 times, is actually really important to pay attention to. All right, these two brushes I love. I feel like these are the proper density for blush. I say that because do you see how much movement we have? There's a good amount of bristles, but we have a lot of movement. And what that does is that prevents you from getting too much product all at once on your cheeks. You know, the old school blushes that come with the little flat brush, just throw those away. Those are not going to be helpful to you when applying blush. You want something that has some give so that you can slowly build product, because most blushes have quite a lot of pigmentation and you want to be careful of how much you apply. These kinds of brushes, this is the BK Beauty 104 brush, which is actually the one I'm going to use. this brush, which is my absolute favorite, I won't use, but it's the E4 from Morphe. I don't know why they don't make this anymore, but this is my favorite. I love the angle of it. There are a lot of other angled brushes out there, but I want to show you why this one from A&G Hot and Flashy, I do love this brush for cream contour, but not for blush. And this is the A507. Okay, so it's almost the identical shape, but do you see how dense these bristles are? And they're much more firm. So because of that, they pick up a ton of product and they apply it to the skin more densely. So if you're using a brush like this, you're definitely gonna have to tap off on the back of your hand and then go in, but you might still end up with more color than you want to. So go with a brush that has more give in the bristles for your blush. Woo, okay. So I'm going to use the BK Beauty 104 brush. This has a point on it. Real Techniques has a very similar blush brush. It's a really good one as well. And I'm just going to tap in the product. I'm going to lightly tap off. And then similarly, like over here, I'm going to work it from the back of the cheek forward. If you're working with a new blush, you might want to tap on the back of your hand and see how much product has come off before you put it on your cheeks, just so you don't get too much. But oh, isn't that just so pretty? And again, I know we've already applied our highlighter, so we've got glow upon glow, but the addition of those blushes on top of the cheeks just adds a nice little bit of life to the cheek there, little bit of color. And again, because I'm kind of sticking with more of my natural blush shade, that's why I'm kind of going towards something like this. But again, I could apply something more brighter pink. Let's just do that just for fun. Let's apply just a little pop of pink. And now you see there's quite a lot on my bristles. So I'm going to actually tap off on the back of my hand first and then just go right there on the top of the cheek. So don't be afraid to mix your blush colors if you have more than one, to get your perfect shade for whatever you're wearing or whatever your mood is. Now, as promised, I wanted to finish up this video with the conversation of a bronzer. What's a bronzer? Bare Minerals, I think, was the first one who came out with this term. Think of the concept of mixing your blush and bronzer. So if you watch my contour bronzer video, you'll know bronzer is kind of meant to be more of that glow from the sun, that healthy glow. A lot of times there is a little bit of some shimmer or a satin finish, but it's meant to look like you've spent some time outside. Well, a bronzer is more like if you spent a little too much time in the sun and you got slightly red. So I think Bare Minerals actually just came out with 2 more shades of bronzer to further confuse everybody, but these are 2 shades. This is Kiss of Pink. This is Kiss of Rose, obviously much deeper. And depending on the depth of your skin is supposed to help you choose kind of the appropriate shade. But generally, I feel like these are pretty close to a blush. You can use these in place of blush, but this is Kiss of Copper. This obviously has more orangey tones to it. But the concept of bronzer, the true kind of main concept, and you can use makeup however you want to, is the idea that you would place this from your nose kind of on the top of the cheek over here where you would get burnt. And it's gonna give your skin the look of kind of a slight little bit of a sunburn. So I don't know that I actually want to do that today for my tone, but it is going to actually add even a little bit of glow. But it is another option. But I feel like if you're watching these videos as a beginner in makeup, I think bronzer isn't necessary. If you've got your blush, you've got your bronzer, I think you can leave the bronzer at home, but it is a fun kind of addition to your makeup routine if you want to add it. Don't forget to check the description box below for links and a list of everything that I used today, the brushes as well, along with other blushes, colors, formulas that I love and also recommend. Now it's time to finish up the face with some powder.